So why are we doing this? So, about 15 years ago now, and sort of the origins of this go decades before that, but about 15 years ago, the town of Windsor and its leadership got together to say, hey, what can we do to improve, transit, walkability, and how people experience the center. And this manifested itself in 2014 in this sort of community generated report, which was done by consultants, but with design charrettes and other a lot of community input, called the Transit Oriented Development Master Plan. So, what we are talking about now, what is known as the Road Diet, or the Safety Improvement Plan, is really the fruit of that effort. This stuff does take so much time that what we're really seeing is going from this 2014 plan, getting public buy-in into it, then going through a design, starting to look for funds, then getting funds for a design process, then, designing to the point where it could actually, go to a referendum. That's taken all of this time. That's taken the last 11 years since this report came out. And what that report really said was, this town center and the way you experience it has changed dramatically, right? You went from a place that had a lot of public domain. Broad Street used to be actually far larger, if you can imagine, than what it is today. But it had a different purpose. It had mass transit. It had trolley carts going down. It had trolley lines going, up to East Windsor and to Springfield, coming through the center. It had, but it had more bicycles then. It had, cars that drove 15 miles an hour by design. It had horses. It had all of these things that you could have all these folks in the road, and everyone was going so slowly that you could cross the street in front of a horse or even in front of a car, and it wasn't dangerous. Now, as all of those uses were stripped away, and the only use that remains in that roadway today are cars, it is not competing with anything. And so the car now is going, it's still marked at 30, 35 miles an hour, but cars feel comfortable being the only ones, in that domain going 40, 50 or, miles per hour or more. So, why are we doing this? We're doing this because we have, gone through this very detailed exercise that pointed out that our roads are unsafe, speeds are too high, and a place that should be used for multiple modes of getting around is only used for one, and to turn that back into something that is both better for pedestrians, so shorter crossings. The crossings keep, it sneaks up on you. They kept getting wider and wider, and then they were fixed at a very wide, 55, 60 feet. It's to claw that back so that folks can, use the roadway as pedestrian, bump outs, as parking, as, bike lanes, sort of reintroduce, more uses into that roadway so that it is safer, right? And the other aspect of this, of course, is the roundabouts, which is, which we'll get into, which is the safest element of the whole system, in that it gets to the whole point, which is design for a slower and safer